Saving money is a crucial step in your path to financial freedom. So in this video, I want to share 7 tips that will dramatically increase your savings and change your life. The first tip is to change how you view savings. Most people view it as a sacrifice that is just too difficult to make because it means giving up the enjoyment of spending that money now in the present time for sort of an uncertain reward in the future. But the truth is, if you don't make that sacrifice today, what you are doing is prioritizing immediate gratification over financial freedom that you could have in the future. And I'm not talking about the far future like when you retire. I'm talking about the near future. Think of it like this. If you take time off work now to spend on a trip to Disney, yeah, which is pretty much what I did, you're gonna have that immediate gratification, but that gratification is only going to be temporary. And because you spent your savings on that immediate gratification, you're giving up on the potential future where you don't even have to ask for time off. Instead, you'll be able to take off whenever you want and for however long you want because you are financially free. Now, to clarify, I'm not suggesting that you don't spend any money on happiness in the present time. It just comes down to budgeting and including savings in your budget, which we'll talk about in a future video. The second money saving tip is to not upgrade your life. And what I'm referring to is whenever you receive a pay raise or a bonus of some sort, to not splurge that money on something that is unnecessary, such as buying more clothes when you already have enough. Instead, you should be setting that extra money aside for your financial freedom. Now, to be clear, upgrading your lifestyle for something that adds value into your life, such as using that extra money to start a business or to spend more quality time with family, that's okay. And it's important because that's what it means to have a purposeful life, which you often hear me talk about in my videos. Just be sure to prioritize saving instead of spending on unnecessary expenses when you receive extra money. The third tip I have is to track your expenses. Tracking your expenses is super important because if you don't know where your money is going, you won't be able to set any realistic goals for your financial freedom. And it doesn't have to be this tedious task of keeping every single receipt and recording every single thing on some spreadsheet. There are many apps that can help you track your expenses, some of which are free and even automated, so you don't even have to do the work. I'll leave some links to my favorites down in the description. But either way, strive to do it so you can have a big picture of how you're spending your money. And that way you can make decisions on where to cut back and put more towards your savings. Tip number 4 is to separate your money. And that means having different accounts for different purposes. For example, you have a checking account for your personal spending and for your everyday expenses. You also need a savings account, preferably a high yield savings account where you'll earn interest on the money that you're saving. Now, this account will only be used for emergencies or for big purchases such as a down payment on a house. But even then, make sure you always have enough inside to cover your expenses for a few months, just in case you lose your income. Tip number 5 is to always save a percentage of each paycheck or profits that you make from any of your income streams. And it starts by calculating a realistic amount that you can set aside every month into your savings. When I started doing this, I started with around 5 to 10% of my pay each month. But since I'm so determined to be financially free, I looked for more ways to cut back on my expenses so that I could put a higher percentage into my savings. And the more you set aside, the faster you will become financially independent. And as you continue to save money, your net worth will slowly but steadily increase over time. Tip number 6 is to consider the penny difference. So for example, if a generic brand costs a few cents than the name brand, then you should consider buying it. And at first it might not seem like you're saving a lot, but as you do this throughout the years with every single purchase, I have personally seen that you can save thousands of dollars over the years, even when the difference is just a few pennies. Just remind yourself that every single penny that you save will bring you one step closer to financial freedom. And tip number 7, which is extremely important and the best tip that I have for you, and that is to carefully evaluate and compare the cost versus earnings of a job or a business that you start. So let me explain what I mean by this. Let's say you have several job offers to choose from. What you want to do is carefully evaluate and compare the cost of fulfilling each one of those jobs and the amount that you will earn from each one. For example, one job might require you to commute, and that has a cost, whereas another job is remote, which allows you to work from home and save on that cost of commuting. In some cases, even if you earn a little less with a remote job, you still save more because you are not spending so much throughout the year on gas, which is extremely expensive right now. Plus, you save by eating at home versus eating out. And not only consider the financial saving, but the time saving as well, since some commutes mean staying stuck in traffic for long periods of time. When it comes to starting a new business, I strive to make it a home business, and I encourage my students to do the same. Home businesses typically have lower costs than other types of businesses. For example, my FBA business has really high costs and really low margins, while my digital marketing business has low costs and higher margins. Plus, it earns me residual income, meaning I continue to get paid every single month for work that I did in the past. So those are the 7 tips I have for you that will make a huge impact on your savings. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, here's to your freedom.